Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving into some pretty big developments today regarding Ukraine.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here.
So, to set the stage a little, there's been a lot of talk surrounding a potential agreement between the US and Ukraine.
Specifically, focusing on critical minerals.
Right, and that's what we're going to dig into today. But first, could you give us a quick overview of why this agreement is such a big deal? What are the stakes involved?
Sure. So critical minerals, as you probably know, are those essential raw materials that are vital for a whole bunch of industries.
Especially tech and defense, right?
Exactly. We're talking about things like lithium for batteries, cobalt, also for batteries.
And those rare earth elements we always hear about.
Yeah, those are used in everything from electric vehicle motors to, high-tech weapon systems.
So basically, if a country wants to be a major player in the global economy, they need a reliable supply of these minerals.
Precisely. And for the U.S., securing that supply is a huge strategic priority.
Makes sense. Now, where does Ukraine fit into all of this?
Well, Ukraine actually has deposits of some of these crucial materials.
Like what?
They've got some rare earth elements, for example, the kind used in those super strong magnets you find in a lot of modern tech.
Okay, so the U.S. is looking to secure access to these resources through this agreement.
Yeah, that seems to be the main goal. It's all about ensuring a stable supply chain for these critical materials.
Okay, that makes sense for the U.S., but what's in it for Ukraine?
Well, for Ukraine, this agreement could mean a significant economic boost.
In what way?
I mean, think about it. Increased investment, job creation, potentially even a stronger position in the global market.
Right, so it's not just a one-sided deal?
No, not at all. It could be mutually beneficial.
Interesting. So it sounds like this agreement could have some pretty big implications, both for the U.S. and Ukraine.
Definitely. It's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. Now, moving on, there's another aspect to this whole situation that we need to talk about.
You're talking about the discussions surrounding potential U.S. ownership of Ukrainian power plants, right?
Yeah, that's the one. This seems like a much bigger deal, even more so than the critical minerals agreement.
Oh, it's definitely a significant development. I mean, we're talking about potentially American companies owning and operating key parts of Ukraine's energy infrastructure.
Now, why is this being considered? What's the rationale behind it?
Well, the argument being put forward is that U.S. companies have a lot of expertise in managing and protecting these kinds of critical facilities.
So it's about bringing in that American know-how to help stabilize Ukraine's energy sector.
Right, and potentially making it more secure, especially given the current situation.
And, this isn't entirely out of the blue. I mean, there have been broader discussions about protecting Ukraine's energy facilities and infrastructure for a while now.
Yeah, you're right. The U.S. has been actively engaged with Ukraine on these issues for some time. In fact, they even offered assistance with managing Ukraine's nuclear power plants a while back.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, it kind of flew under the radar, but it just shows that the U.S. has had a vested interest in Ukraine's energy security for a while now.
So this potential ownership of power plants is kind of an extension of that then?
In a way, yes. It takes that involvement to a whole other level, though.
Definitely. Now, there's been a lot of talk about one particular power plant, the Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant.
Yeah, that one's been in the news a lot lately.
And for good reason. It's a massive facility, and there's been some speculation that the U.S. might be particularly interested in it.
The Financial Times even ran a report suggesting that U.S. interests in Zaporizhzhia could be linked to this whole critical minerals deal.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, the idea is that gaining some level of control over Zaporizhzhia could serve as an incentive for Ukraine to open up its rare earth metal and other resource extraction to U.S. companies.
So it's like a bargaining chip, almost.
It's hard to say for sure, but that seems to be the implication.
Okay, but hold on a second. Wouldn't transferring control of a major nuclear power plant like Zaporizhzhia to the U.S. raise some, major red flags?
Oh, absolutely. There are a lot of concerns and potential complications.
For starters, isn't there something in Ukrainian law that prohibits the privatization of strategically important facilities like that?
Yeah, there are definitely legal hurdles. Privatizing nuclear power plants is a pretty sensitive issue in a lot of countries, and Ukraine is no exception.
Right. So even if the U.S. and Ukraine wanted to go down that road, there would be some serious legal obstacles to overcome.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a simple process at all.
And then there's the whole geopolitical situation surrounding Zaporizhzhia.
Right, we can't forget about that.
I mean, it's located in the Zaporizhzhia region, which Russia currently claims as its territory.
That adds a whole other layer of complexity to the situation.
Yeah, talk about a tangled web.
It really highlights just how difficult it is to make any kind of headway in a situation like this.
All right, so let's try to sum all of this up for our listeners. We've got a potential U.S.-Ukraine agreement on critical minerals in the works, aimed at securing access to these vital resources for the U.S.
And we've got these discussions about potential U.S. ownership of Ukrainian power plants, which is being framed as a way to bring in American expertise and potentially stabilize Ukraine's energy sector.
Right. And all of this is happening within the context of the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and those broader diplomatic talks that have been taking place, like the ones in Riyadh.
Yeah, it's all connected. And then you have the specific case of the Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant, which is fascinating because it kind of brings all these threads together: the critical minerals, the potential for U.S. ownership, and the incredibly complicated geopolitical situation on the ground.
Exactly. And while the U.S. has shown a willingness to engage with Ukraine on these issues, even offering assistance with managing nuclear power plants in the past, there are some major question marks surrounding how all of this would actually play out in practice.
Yeah, the legal hurdles, the geopolitical complexities, the potential risks. It's a really intricate situation with a lot of moving parts.
Definitely. So for our listeners, the key takeaway here is that the situation in Ukraine is incredibly fluid and complex. We're seeing a lot of different interests at play, a lot of potential deals being floated, and a lot of uncertainty about what the future holds. It's a story that's still being written, and it's one that we'll continue to follow closely.
It really underscores how interconnected everything is in the world today. The pursuit of resources, the need for energy security, the complexities of international relations, it's all intertwined.
And for our listeners, it's a reminder that staying informed about these issues is crucial. The decisions being made today will have far-reaching consequences, and it's important to understand the stakes involved. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. We are here to make things clear. New episodes every day.